was a one-night thing. How is that even possible, though?
We have a lot of people here on this earth. They are products of one-night stands. Did you use protection on that one night?
No.
That's a recipe for making a baby.
He was the person I was with at the time.
Well, it doesn't matter who you're with when the doctor tells you you're pregnant. It matters who you're with when the child is conceived.
You know, because they say they pregnant, especially when I hear that she's a promiscuous woman, had a boyfriend. We gonna believe this one is ours.
He enjoyed it every night.
That's all right.
I
thought it was one night.
Following the Cheaters and Babies Brigade, we've got Miss Walton claiming Mr. Deaver might be the daddy. But there's a plot twist involving cell phone snooping and a pregnancy test conspiracy. Better strap in, folks. Here we go.
I never had sex with him unprotected, so it was never any unprotected sex. Also, the time of conception, I did not mess with that guy.
You can initially put the condom on, but while you're having
Your Honor,
sex,
I wouldn't know if I had sex
they
there.
can
I would
slip
know
the
that.
condom off, you know, do different things, stuff like that, so you never really know.
By the looks of it, the baby mama did accept there could be doubts, but she seemed sure of the supposed protective measures. However, the snooping resulted in more than one possible candidate. Classic romance, right? Love was truly in the air, along with a hint of sarcasm.
I had sex with a guy with protection. I never had unprotected sex with anybody besides him.
You admit you had cheated on her, but then she retaliated, had sex with a person.
Yes, having sex with a guy that I knew for years, other guys that I know of.
Other guys?
Oh, other guys.
Yeah.
So you think it's more than one guy?
So Miss Walton indeed cheated, but for the good old tit-for-tat fiasco. However, she seemed to have a habit of going back and forth on her claims. Is it trust issues or just a case of crossed wires? Because from cheating to faking tests, that was a lot to take in.
What really happened was she had somebody, whoever it was, that was actually pregnant, use her urine, and that's how, that's how it happened.
So you faked the pregnancy test, Miss Deaver?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I wanted him to feel the exact way I felt when he did all the things that he did to me.
Well, what do you know? All that crying wolf turned out to be true, as Mama ended up pregnant for real. But now the baby daddy had a little hard time believing it. Though his suspicions had a pretty solid basis, Mommy had the gall to call them confused.
Did you believe you were the father?
It was all around this one time, seemed like, man, where she was messing
Your
with
Honor,
me
that's
and
not
still,
true.
you know, I'm finding
not true.
text messages about her bragging about the guy's sex and all of this, so it just, I didn't know what to believe.
That's not true. He's getting the times mixed up. He's confused.
Enter the birth certificate conundrum. It appears baby daddy had been involved in the journey. However, the certificate had no evidence of that. Evidently, on the day of birth, Mommy wanted him to sign, and the hospital staff stepped in when Daddy expressed doubts. A vigilant nurse at your service.
The story that I told her, it led to her seeing that I had a little doubt. But she said, even if I wanted to now, I cannot sign a birth certificate. She told me I couldn't sign a birth certificate just because she felt that I had doubt.
The nurse in the hospital told you
Yes, she said I
she
could
would not allow you to sign
Yes,
it.
yes, even if I
because you're
wanted to.
expressing doubt.
Yes.
Well, it was not just a legal document. It's a symbol of trust, or the lack thereof. It seems Mommy's antics were now biting her right back. Should not have lied and deceived that much, huh, Miss Walton?
Man doesn't trust you. You've given him every reason not to.
Right.
Him cheating on you and all of that is absolutely wrong and unacceptable if you all were in a relationship.
I would have respected her more if she didn't try to get back at me, and then I would be rubbing her feet, begging her every day to, you know what I'm saying? I'm sorry for what I did.
Now, before the guy went on to give his speech, our DNA queen stepped in and told him what was what. Oh, he certainly faced the shenanigans of a woman scorned. What he had to realize was that he started it.
You know the saying, hell have no fury. Like a what? Woman scorned. You don't mess with a woman.
Yeah.
Because we love with our whole heart, and when we do and when you crush it, some of us are able to walk away, but some of us feel like we need to get some revenge before we walk away.
Will the truth be revealed? Well, you were in luck, because those DNA results were in. Yep, the moment of truth was here, and a lot was at stake. Will these results shatter or solidify their rocky relationship? Let's find out.
Mr. Deaver, you are his father.
Never hug.
How do you feel, Miss Walton?
I'm happy, but I already knew. He had doubts, but
Just one seed of doubt, right?
Miss Miles thought her dear old dad was resting in peace until reality shattered that illusion 3 agonizing years ago. Now she's on a desperate mission to prove that Mr. Fullylove is the father she never knew. Buckle up for an emotional roller coaster.
And the rumor in the town that we grew up in said that Mr. Fullylove was deceased. And that's what I was led to believe because my mom hadn't seen him since I was born.
How did you find out he was alive?
A friend of the family, we ran into each other at the store, and he said him and Mr. Fullylove are friends.
Picture this bleak scenario. Miss Miles living in a world where her father was nothing but a memory, thanks to some town rumors. But then, a family friend spills the bitter truth that Mr. Fullylove is, in fact, alive. Oh boy, we're just setting the course for a rather interesting confrontation.
We tried to reach Mr. Fullylove on numerous occasions, text messages, calls, voicemails, pictures, and I didn't hear from Mr. Fullylove.
How long does it take you to actually get in touch with him?
Almost 3 years.
And so for 3 years, you're just, waiting every day, wondering, is this the day he's gonna call me back?
But wait, the tragedy deepens. Mr. Fullylove confesses to the reasons behind his delayed response, involving a friend and some tangled drama. Mrs. Fullylove adds a layer of Christian drama. Well, it's just sad to say a girl is being raised without a dad.
My wife is a Christian, and she might not like this. Okay, your wife is a Christian. This happened 25 years ago. He wasn't even married to this woman. So if his wife is the perfect Christian, she should accept my daughter because I'm 1,000% sure that he is her father.
The truth about the ill-fated relationship between Miss Miles' mom and Mr. Fullylove is laid bare. It involves dancing, betrayal, and shattered dreams. Mr. Fullylove tries to justify himself, but there's a lot more involved in this tragedy. And wait, Miss Fullylove has her mouth full.
You know, because they say they pregnant, especially when I hear that she's a promiscuous woman, had a boyfriend, already had a baby.
You know what?
So why, we gonna believe this one is ours?
He enjoyed it every night.
That's all right. I heard it was one night.
Okay, then.
I heard it was one night.
Miss Miles admits to sleeping with her best friend's father, Mr. Fullylove. The affair, occurring 3 weeks after the friend's funeral, becomes a tragic tale of regret and secrecy. Despite Mr. Fullylove recalling the intimate encounter, he insists it happened only once, unaware of Miss Miles' existing relationship and child.
I didn't know she had no kids, Your Honor.
You said you did earlier now.
But hold on, Mr. Fullylove. Do you remember the day you pulled up on her mother's house?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
No, I
So
don't.
is it your testimony that after having a sexual relationship with this young woman, you never even knew she was pregnant?
Never.
Anticipation fills the courtroom as the DNA results are unveiled. Miss Miles, visibly moved, had a lot going on in her head. Let's see how that goes. This decade-long mystery was about to be solved. So buckle up for some paternity sprinkle.
Mr. Fullylove, you are the father. That is your
And she's a
beautiful, beautiful
lady.
daughter.
It's nice to meet you, Miss Kendall.
Nice to meet
You're a
you.
beautiful lady. Can I get a hug?
I love you.
Isn't that just so tragic for the dad and daughter to miss so many important years of each other's life? Well, like they say, it's better late than never. This happens to be one of the most tragic paternity cases ever witnessed.
That was wonderful. Thank you for that moment. Ms. Miles, how does it feel?
Oh, it feels awesome. I got a dad.
Oh. I know this has been a long time coming, Ms. Miles. I see your emotion, but I need you now to allow your daughter this moment, this space, and the grace to get to know her father.
We met Miss Laws and Mr. Bailey, yet another confusing case. Miss Laws is convinced that Mr. Bailey is the father of her 19-month-old son, but he denies it, pointing out that his mother has doubts. There's also a twist involving Miss Law's older son, who is 4 years old, but his birth certificate bears another man's name.
Me and Mr. Davis was actually intimate for 1.5 years. I never got pregnant. The first night that I actually cheated and slept with Mr. Bailey, 2 months later, I find out I'm pregnant. I told the both of them when I found out.
You told both men. Who was at the birth with you?
Mr. Davis.
Who is on the birth certificate for the first child?
Mr. Davis.
How about I start calling in some facts? Their love started with dating back in middle school. Well, after seeing so many cases, seems like 90% of teenage love ends up in paternity disputes, huh? It seems they had an on and off again relationship, And above all else, they even had a long-distance relationship.
You led Mr. Davis to believe that he was the father.
When I slept with Mr. Bailey, I was still in a relationship with Mr. Davis.
It was a one-night thing. How is that even possible, though?
We have a lot of people here on this earth. They are products of one-night stands. Did you use protection on that one night?
No.
That's a recipe for making a baby.
But here's the scoop, guys. Miss Laws told both Mr. Davis and Mr. Bailey about the pregnancy, leading Mr. Davis to believe he was the father. Mr. Davis was present at the birth and is listed as the father of Jamari's birth certificate. Just wow! But later, she admits to cheating Mr. Davis with Mr. Bailey.
When I told Mr. Bailey, I told him second after I told Mr. Davis. And what Mr. Bailey said was, "That's my baby."
Did you say that's my baby?
No, how I'm gonna say that's
Him
my...
and his cousin was saying that.
Excuse me, can I say something?
How am I
Can I
gonna
say
say that's
something?
my
Wait,
baby?
Because you know
I
you
don't
slept
know.
with me. Because you know
Yeah,
you
I
slept with me.
But wait, Judge Lake asked Miss Laws about a relationship with both men and whether she used protection during her intimate encounters. Mr. Davis passed away believing he was Jamari's father, and his family accepted the child. Miss Laws concealed her infidelity, and only some of Mr. Bailey's family members knew about it. Whoops, that wasn't part of the plan.
I kept that secret for so long. I was young. I didn't know how to say it. It would hurt. He dead now. So he's saying he don't know if he could be the dad. What he told me Friday was, if both of these kids come out mine, I'm going to marry you. You know what I mean? So why even sit here and lie like you don't even know it's a possibility?
And this is what secrets do to us. They tear us apart.
The court calls Mr. Davis's sister, Miss Collier, as a witness. She firmly believes that her brother is Jamari's biological father. I just hope that all comes out to be true. Otherwise, we're gonna face some deep heartbreaks. Let's hear her out for a while.
He was so happy, and then he told my mom that he had the baby on the way. My family always thought Jamari was ours, regardless. Nicole never told us about Mr. Bailey.
What you're saying is that you have never received information your brother was this child's biological father.
So, now the broken bond was at the mercy of DNA results. The only chance to repair the hurt and guilt was to get the results that either side wanted. But you know, in paternity court, you don't always get what you want. So, here's Judge Lake pulling out the curtain.
The biological father is Mr. Bailey.
Oh.
I'm very sorry, Miss Collier.
He's still gonna be my nephew, because I had that bond with Jamari.
Jamari is also your biological child.
It just blew me away, honestly.
Being raised by the system was a hard call for Mr. Walker, but that was the one thing that inspired the foster child to never do the same to his children. Everything was going smoothly for him, until his ex-girlfriend claims he's not the father of her 13-month-old baby. But why? Let's find out.
I regret letting him sign the birth certificate. I just wanted to get the truth out today and just figure out he's not the father so I can get him off the birth certificate.
I haven't been allowed to see my son the last 6 months because Miss DeVost claims that I am not the father.
But you're on the birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor. I was there the whole time.
Miss DeVost shamelessly admits she prevented Mr. Walker from visiting Kaimani because she believes he's not the true dad. This revelation did bring a shock to all of us. I mean, you can just see the expressions, how casually she admits it as if nothing else matters. You know what I did there, right?
He was the one I was with, actually, when I took the pregnancy test, and then I got it confirmed by the doctor. He was the person I was with at the time.
Okay, well, it doesn't matter who you're with when the doctor tells you you're pregnant. It matters who you're with when the child is conceived.
Right. I was with him and someone else.
Okay, so that's why we're here.
So, they weren't exactly lovebirds, but more like friends with benefits. Ugh, I've just had it with that phrase. Like, come on, what benefits when you end up hurting each other in the process? And also, why can't you just be responsible and be sure right from the start?
When I find out that she's pregnant, I really just start to prepare myself mentally. I had 2 jobs at the time. I was really trying to just prepare myself for everything.
So
I know what it means to have a child. I didn't really have a dad growing up, and I grew up in the system. I like babies.
So this was your first child?
Yes, Your Honor.
And after going through a difficult time, you were excited about being a father.
You just hear that? But it turns out there's another man in the picture, and Miss DeVost was intimate with him too around the time of conception. She's suddenly becoming a fan of honesty, admitting to her double dealings. just reminds me of the old saying, honesty is the best policy.
As he was signing this birth certificate and being there for the child and going to doctor's appointments and witnessing the birth, Ms. DeVos, you knew all the while that there was another possible father?
I was scared. I just never wanted to tell him that it wasn't his because I knew the situation he'd been through and it was just hard. I didn't want to go through it alone.
Yeah, right. He was doing the right thing, but what you were doing was completely wrong. Mr. Walker reveals text messages where Miss DeVos drops the cold, hard truth. He's not your son. It's a harsh reality. And oh boy, it was all done over a text?
You kicked me out with damn near no place to go. You wasn't thinking about our son or anything. You write back, he's not your son. You respond, Mr. Walker, so as long as I'm on the birth certificate, I'm not going anywhere. You ruined my whole life. You respond, you're not his father. You ruined your own life.
Hurting him sooner or later doesn't matter, Miss DeVos, because you might not be able to see the hurt, but it's a common factor here, isn't it? However, just an opinion, you could have saved the man a whole amount of hurt by telling him earlier.
Mr. Walker, did you have any idea any of this was going on after you saw your baby come into the world? Where were you in this situation?
I've caught hold of the situation when she went out of town to a concert, and when she came back, a friend of hers inboxed me saying that I wasn't his father.
Ah, well now it's all said and done. And the hurt has been so visible that we can cut it with a knife. So before we reach any conclusion, how about we just read the results first and make a clear stance? So here's Judge Lake with the DNA results.
Mr. Walker, you are not the father. I'm sorry I couldn't give you the news you wanted, Mr. Walker. You have been a stand-up guy. You should be very proud of yourself.
In this case, a 15-year journey filled with ups and downs, Mr. Sterling finds himself facing an unexpected twist. He vehemently denies being the biological father of his lover's adorable 11-month-old son. The truth, shrouded in confusion and uncertainty, creates a gripping tale of love, trust, and undeniable paternity secrets.
Basically, Mr. Sterling needs to step up and take care of his baby that he knows is his. You know, I'm not going to do this by myself. So I'm here because I want to prove paternity to him that this is his child.
And so you've been doing it by yourself thus far?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
11 months, casing is?
Our birthday is tomorrow, so he'll be 1. I had him on my birthday last year.
It remains to be seen what will come of Mr. Sterling's paternity concerns. The baby mama had some harsh words for him, accusing him of being a sneak and a deadbeat. However, it's important to consider his side of the story before making any judgments. Let's take a look at what he had to say about his doubts.
The first date on this calendar says the doctor's appointment was on March 21st, and the doctor says that Ms. Harris is 6 to 8 weeks pregnant, and you had sex on Valentine's Day. So now, that is the last week in January.
Told me the HCG number of the blood test showed that I was between 6 to 8 weeks.
Oh, that's a tough one. But to complicate matters further, the plaintiff confessed to the defendant sometime near her 8-month pregnancy that there was another rider on her horse 2 weeks before she was intimate with the defendant. Whoa, that's a shift in the rift.
2 weeks before the time when you were intimate with her, which is February 14th, 2 weeks before that would be around the first week in February, last week of January. You're saying it puts the window right at the time.
But the plaintiff was not willing to admit that she had had unprotected sexual encounter with the other guy. Therefore, the defendant claims that she's a liar and blames her for the fact that he has to be in this lawsuit. He's clear on the stance that he does not want to father another man's child.
We here today for a reason.
Things
because
happen.
she is
Either
lying.
you're the dad or
because
you're not.
She is a liar. That's the reason we here today. And
Exactly, because you're a liar, you need to step up, pretty much.
I don't want to take care of another man's child.
You don't,
yes,
you
I
don't
do.
take care
I love
of
him.
yourself.
I love that
So
little boy. And you know that.
Don't sit here and
you know
play
that.
like you just
you
don't
know
want to
that.
take
That's
care
the
of
reason
another
you
man,
want me
baby.
to be the
First
baby
of all,
daddy.
you don't
For
take
me
care of
not to have
yourself
nothing,
or
for
the
me not
child
to
that
be
you already
nothing.
got.
Regardless of the facts alleged, the plaintiff was 100% certain that the defendant was the father. She kept asking Judge Lake to hold the defendant responsible, but among all the to and fro allegations, the plaintiff had some more details to share about Mr. Sterling cheating.
Because I was not having sex
I was
like
getting
that.
it in, man. God.
Yeah, we were getting it in, just like you done got it in the condom broke with another girl.
Okay.
That's another story. We'll say that for couples court.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this will be an ongoing saga. Let's deal with the paternity issue now.
Well, whether we get to see them in couples court or not, that's a question for later. But right now, the baby's here, and we have to discuss paternity. But wait a minute, why did Mr. Sterling sign the birth certificate if he was struggling with all of this doubt?
Why execute the birth certificate if you know you have doubt?
Just because she might have been mad. Maybe she did just say this out of the
You
side
know
of
you cheated and you lied and you wrong.
whatever. So maybe she did say this out of just spite, you know what I'm saying? When she had the baby, I still was there. I was still there, and I was still doing what I can, being by her side, rubbing them big old legs.
It was clear that the only chance for the plaintiff's son to have a responsible father in his life was this DNA test. With so many twists and turns that we only hoped the result would finally bring closure, Mr. Sterling came to paternity court. Here is what the DNA envelope holds this time.
Mr. Sterling, you are the father.
Exactly. So what you got to say now,
You
baby?
are his father.
All this next. See, you know, we got to leave here. You know that, right? Why
You know what, Miss Harris? There are men that don't come see their children because they don't want to deal with a woman that acts like you.
Miss Ray got a bit of a situation on her hands. She brings not one, but two men to court, all in a desperate attempt to unveil the truth about who the father of her child is. I mean, talk about a tough spot to be in. But hey, she's determined and she wants some answers. Let's see how this unfolds.
The end of the summer in 2011, me and Mr. Wise was on a break. Mr. Eastham was a longtime friend of mine, shoulder to cry on, and we had two different occasions that we had got drunk and partied together. We do not know if we had sex. It is a possibility that he could be Jordan's father.
Miss Ray told the court about her changing relationship with Mr. Eastham. She described her sexual encounters with him and confessed to Mr. Weiss her infidelity 2 months after the baby was born. I suppose this does show she was feeling a guilty conscience.
Mr. Eastham, you actually submitted baby pictures of yourself.
And now that Jordan's haircut, now that Jordan's hair is cut,
like him too.
You believe he looks like Mr. Eastham as well?
Yes, Your Honor. Until he got a little bit older.
Until he got older.
And then he looks like me now.
Now you feel like he looks like you?
Well, we're in paternity court, and I can tell you that the judge here believes in facts and deeds, not just photos. As this session progressed, it became clear that these two men have always been there for the child. Or, more like, they wanted to be with the mama.
Developed a strong relationship with Jordan as well.
So if he's not mine, it's gonna crush me.
And it would crush me and crush Jordan.
It's gonna hurt so bad.
I don't know what I would do if Jordan wasn't Mr. Wise. It would crush all of us. Except I feel like it would make Dave the happiest person on earth, which
Yeah, I see it happening too.
I know he would be good to Jordan.
Nobody's feelings. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings.
Miss Frey testified that Mr. Eastham had also tried to sabotage her relationship with Mr. Weiss. She said in court that his reasons for doing so were nothing more than envy. Although he denied the allegations, his constant meddling and malicious intent spoke louder than words.
We've been together solid pretty much.
Okay.
Maybe a
About
break.
a year and a half.
Maybe
So
a break
now
here.
you've been together solid. Is that dating?
No, like we lived together, stayed together.
Oh, you live together?
Yeah, for the last year and a half we did.
I've been
Jordan
there
is
raising that boy.
two.
There. Yeah.
Jordan was 2 months old when me and Mr. Wise split up. It was right after I told him there was a possibility Dave could be the father.
As the saying goes, we don't appreciate what we have, but we also want what others have. It was the same here with Mr. Eastham. He blamed baby mama for hopping back and forth between the two men, explaining it to be toxic. But don't worry, she's got herself covered.
How come 2 hours ago it was, I love you so much, I can't wait to see you back in our city.
Okay, I did say that.
But I'm such a, why would you want me?
I'm not talking about right now.
Oh, but I was in the past? This is someone I was with since I've been 14 years old.
Okay.
I fell in love with my best friend and made a mistake when we were partying.
But the drama between them was far from over. She hoped to build a relationship with one of them after she found out about the biological father. But what happened when Judge Lake briefed her? As it stands, we can all see the way this triangular mess is gonna go.
To get control, meaning fight that urge to go from one man to the next, one man to the next, and back, and forth, and back, and forth. That's what you've been doing.
The paternity case was still ongoing, and Judge Lake realized that further questions would only waste time. Therefore, she decided to close the case for both parties to reach a fair and final resolution. Here's what the results looked like.
Mr. Wise is his father.
I told you. I told everybody. I knew.
After 19 long years of faithfully paying for child support, the day arrived when Mr. Harrelson was face to face with his alleged daughter. With a mix of anticipation and nervousness, he met her. Yet, as they spoke, he respectfully denied the claim, expressing his doubts about his paternity.
My sister, she had moved in with a friend, so we went over there. We had visit. We were sitting, drinking, and talking. We talked on the step for a minute. We went upstairs and had sex, and that's what it was.
So it really was a brief encounter.
Yes.
Right, and then see after that.
And Mr. Harrelson, you
everybody split
say you
ways.
didn't even know her name.
Nah.
He knew my name.
Not only that, but the baby mama lived a promiscuous life. At the time, Miss Smith was all about hit it and quit it. Her daughter Talash testifies, taking no sides, and explains to the court all of her mother's devious tricks.
They had sex or whatever. He said it was around his birthday, he was up on the influence, and supposedly my mama stole his ID and his social security card and went to put him on child support. When she went to go put him on child support, she gave them the wrong address, so therefore he never received no child support.
You're saying Mr. Harrelson told you that story?
I know for a fact she stole my ID and my social security card.
However, Mr. Harrelson was out of town long enough, and therefore never received a letter for child support appearances. This makes him the father by omission. I'm so confused that this man paid child support for 20 years but never requested a DNA test. Here's what he has to say about it.
You did not show up to court, and this debt is all for a child you don't believe is your biological child.
I've tried throughout the years to get DNA tests and she just wouldn't cooperate with that.
He didn't want to pay for it. He wanted me to go half. I'm not paying for half. I know she mine. I know she mine.
For the girl in search of her biological father, on the other hand, life has been hard. She believes her life choices are a product of poor parenting because growing up, she had no one to tell her to sit down and control herself.
She never gave me a different name. She always said his name was Raymond Harrison. He had like 2 pages then. And so I messaged both of them. I was like, I think you're my dad, I think you're my dad. He said, is your mom Kawana? I was like, yeah, why? And then the conversation just went from there.
And you see it's Talea, and she's saying, I think you're my dad. You ask her, is this your mother?
Yes.
So, it didn't take long for her to find out who was paying child support. After that, Tala built up a relationship with her alleged father. However, he had to reject her because he was not sure whether he was the father. That's gotta hurt.
I'm gonna be 20 years old, and I just wouldn't see the point, but
20 years old is still very young, honey. And I want to tell you, there is no time frame on the feelings that you have related to wanting to know your father. Trust me, I see people each and every day, 50, 60 years old, still wanting to know, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, one thing's clear, the stakes are high in this courtroom. The daughter seems resentful toward the mother and has no intention of letting go of the paternity drama anytime soon. Well, after enough testimony, everyone's been waiting for the results, and Judge Lake decided to reveal the truth.
Mr. Harrelson, you are the father.
So, apparently, there's this woman who boldly claims that she got pregnant with her daughter after engaging in a pretty wild threesome. Can you believe it? She claims it involved a drummer dude and his ex-girlfriend. Talk about a juicy story. But hey, who am I to judge?
The baby doesn't look like me from the get-go. Like, as soon as I saw her, she don't look like me. She doesn't have my nose, she doesn't have my eyes. Like, I would see, features, that would resemble me, and she doesn't look anything like me. I just want to know. I mean, if she is mine, then okay, I'll man up and take care of my little girl. But if she's not mine, then I want my name back.
Mr. Evans was engrossed in playing drums downtown when a woman caught his attention. She unexpectedly surprised him by flashing her bare chest. This audacious act left the drummer boy bewildered, his jaws dropping as the unforgettable sight sparked curiosity and conversation between the two. Well now, that's not something you're gonna see happening every day.
They're putting more money in, everybody's entertained, she's dancing on your lap and you playing the drum.
Yeah, then I get a phone call from my ex saying that she's at my house right now. She brought a guy over. He lost his job, he needed a place to stay. It was the only place that she can think of to bring him. And I'm just like, you know what, fine.
Well, talk about surprises. As soon as they got home, they found themselves in quite the situation. Imagine their shock when his ex unexpectedly appeared and joined them for a steamy threesome. That moment must have been a mixture of excitement, confusion, and a whole lot of emotions running wild. Here is what Mr. Evans testified.
A threesome and a game of tug of war at the same time? No.
So after about a minute or so, I'm just like, hey, y'all quit fighting. There's enough for me for both of y'all.
It's enough for both of y'all?
Yes.
Oh, no.
There's enough for me for both of y'all. And I'm just like, I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, this is amazing, I can't,
Well, it seems Miss Snyder has quite a bold explanation for the situation. According to her, due to her week-long stay at Mr. Evans' house and their frequent intimate activities together, he is the apparent father. While some might find this reasoning unconventional, Ms. Snyder firmly stands by her statement.
that she had slept with someone else.
Who's this other person you slept with?
I do admit I slept with someone else. We also used protection, and it was what would have been after the conception date, though. It was like a week or two afterwards. I had been knowing him for a little bit.
So
we did use protection.
Ms. Snyder, being committed to strengthening her argument, decided to bring a conception calendar. The intriguing thing about this calendar is that its dates seem to align perfectly with Mr. Evans. It's like the universe is holding up a sign indicating his involvement, adding a compelling twist to the story.
Do you believe you are Lainey's biological father?
No, he's not mine. I'm not the father. I do not believe that I am the father.
But are you basing all of this just on looks because you don't think she looks like you? A baby's face forms and develops over time. She may not seem to have your features now, but maybe she will later.
Well, that's what I need. I need proof. I need proof of that.
Not knowing if it's his child has left Mr. Evans feeling uncertain about forming any connection with the alleged child. It's quite the dilemma now, isn't it? Trying to navigate fatherhood without clarity can be challenging for anyone. Well, I suppose that's just life.
But you do video chat with her,
Yeah.
and you get the pictures.
Yeah.
Why are you even staying in touch then?
I wanted to get a DNA test to find out if she was, because she did say that she was slept with this other man.
And so, Ms. Snyder, you gave Lainey Mr. Evans' last name.
Yes, Your Honor.
But he wasn't there for the birth or anything.
Well, let me tell you, paternity court is like a detective show. Judge Lay can't help but bring out the suspense in the courtroom. So, without wasting any more time, she knew it was time to reveal the DNA results. After all, in paternity court, the proof is everything.
Mr. Evans, you are not the father. You were right, Mr. Evans. You are not her biological father. I'm sorry, I know that wasn't the result you thought you were going to get today. Have you informed this other man that he could potentially be the biological father?
I told him.
Do all love triangles have the same endings? Misery? No, I don't think so, because Miss Rayford dragged her beggar ex to court to claim childcare in her baby's name. Her motive was to win, and she was more than ready for a DNA test to prove her claim right.
Mr. Freeman abruptly left your relationship, returned to his fiancée, and started denying your baby. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
You say Ms. Rayford was nothing more than a fling who is now obsessed with you and your fiancée, Ms. Triplett. During your brief time with Ms. Rayford, she was sleeping with multiple men.
Correct, Your Honor.
The plaintiff started the testimony by saying that she wanted to prove his paternity so that Mr. Freeman could step up and be a real father to her son and shouldn't let his fiancée manipulate him. Then, the defendant shared his thoughts regarding the baby.
I don't believe he's my son. I tried multiple times to come to Trina's house and deliver stuff. I brought things for the child, you know what I'm saying? And she's neglecting me. I don't need your stuff.
Yes, girl. Nah, he referring to the stuff that he bought with Pampers, clothes, and stuff like that. Girl, stop playing.
This case looks more like a boyfriend winning the battle than paternity. Both women are crazy. So, after nudging words with Miss Triplett, the plaintiff explained that she did refuse some items because he only visited them once, and added that Mr. Freeman was happy at birth. But here, they blew up once again.
He was there at the hospital. He said, yeah, he looks just like me. He said,
You don't know where he's Hold on. Hey, Miss Triplett, I'm going to give you all a chance.
Like she was there in a room with her.
So, Miss Rayford.
Your mom is not here.
Listen. You all are making fools of yourselves. This is absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, these women will not let the case reach its bottom. One is acting so immature, and the other one is so petty. Then, after shushing them, the plaintiff continued that she met Mr. Freeman on a dating site and how her relationship went around. But this led to more drama.
I came from California to Memphis. When I came to Memphis, I met two men, and I probably should have went with the first, but he was the second one. The first, and the relationship kind of overlapped. I am mature enough to know that, you know, when you have sex, you wear a condom. And so I did do that with the other guy in January.
Told you the drama was coming? Well, I guess Miss Triplett wanted to testify badly. That's why she was coughing. Next, the plaintiff said that she was pregnant when she went to California, but Miss Triplett denied it, and the judge asked Miss Triplett about baby mama's pregnancy.
Because he was trying to keep it real with me because we was trying to get our stuff back together.
Mr. Freeman, you were going back and forth between these two women. No wonder you so quiet. But now we know you all both got everything to do with it.
So when the girlfriend left, the fiance came back. It seemed easy for him, but that's dirty. And now he was standing quietly in the court. Then the plaintiff replied to the judge that she didn't sleep with anyone because she was pregnant, and she took them to her conception dates.
February 15th, I'm gonna use that date that we had sex, although it was a busy month.
Wait a minute, a busy month? How busy was it?
It was too busy because by the end of it, I was pregnant. I was finding out I was pregnant. We was caught up. It was good. I ain't gonna lie. 2 minutes at a time is good. That's why I'm here.
But I'm glad she's on the right path now. Next, they discussed the conception dates, and it was revealed that Mr. Freeman was sleeping with both women around the same time. Then, regarding his doubts, Ms. Triplett shared how the plaintiff admitted to another possibility.
I might be another man's baby, Terry. You're not the daddy. Somebody else might be the daddy. You know, that's where all at the beginning that where it was. He never was the daddy from the beginning. So why you just can't wake up and stop being so obsessed over my Terry and leave us the heck alone and go on with your life?
Ms. Rayford, is that true?
No.
The screaming and petty fights of the women came to an end, as there was nothing more to add to the case. So, before they could drive us crazy, the judge decided that only DNA Truth could end this matter, and she read the results.
You are the father.
No! See, something wrong. We can't do this. Something wrong with you.
No, something wrong with that girl. Yeah, something wrong.
Mr. Guzman was a player who never owned his responsibilities with his ex while he gave his full attention to other women. But the plaintiff wanted to put his games to an end by demanding $544, half of her child's expenses, and be done with him for good. But to prove her right, a DNA test has to be done.
He not only doubts he is your daughter's father, but he constantly puts other women before her, and he drifts in and out of your lives.
Yes, ma'am.
You say you are here to defend yourself against Ms. Sanchez's allegations and confront her about her infidelity.
Yes, Your Honor.
So the judge asked the defendant about Ms. Sanchez's plans for today, and he said that her motive was to use the baby to bind him to her life. Well, that's a lot of pride for himself. Upon this, the plaintiff quickly expressed her distaste for him.
Your Honor, yes, I have slept with other people and I have gave oral sex to other men, but it's not—
Oh, no big deal.
We weren't in a steady relationship, Your Honor.
You're saying that you had sexual extracurricular activities, we'll
Yeah.
call them.
No, he was sleeping with other people himself. He was in and out as he pleases.
He doesn't have a good character. After this, Mr. Guzman shared that one time she went skinny dipping with her friends and stayed the night with a guy. And another time during their break, he found a guy's clothes in her house. Then the plaintiff defended herself by bringing him down.
You were taking care of business and not walking out on me with
When
other
I asked
females.
her about
it
it,
would
Your
be
Honor,
your
she
clothes.
sat there
Don't
and she
worry,
told
what's
me
in
it
my
isn't-
house.
it
I
isn't
pay my
mine.
rent and my
It isn't-
bills.
Were you faithful during this time?
No.
Yes, Your Honor, I was.
If men can have kids,
I
he would
believe-
have
I
like
believe
20
I was.
of
She
us.
doesn't wanna
He
sit there
sleeps
and say
around left
because-
and right. And he lets everybody know about it because he tells all these girls he loves them and such.
Plaintiff has no chill, and she's not giving him a break. Then the judge asked whether his doubts were to hide his infidelity or if there's some serious uncertainty about the baby, and he shared that the baby's looks kept him confused. Next, the defendant's witness gave his testimony against her.
He locked the door. She was in there for a good 30, 45
What I
minutes.
do is
You know,
none of
there's
your business.
nobody else in the
If your
room. It's
brother
just
was
her.
taking
and
care-
I-
Wait.
I wouldn't
Hold
have
on. What is this? Is this an on and off again relationship, but it's more off than on?
It's off
and then
when- no,
everything
it's
is a
off.
break. This is not college. You all are producing children potentially,
When-
and you
no,
all keep
but
talking
when
about
you
you on break.
I'm getting annoyed by their break games. But hats off to her, she's slaying him hard again and again. The plaintiff said that she only got back with him because she loved him back then. But she broke into tears when she exposed the real face of Mr. Guzman and his behavior with kids.
Come and be Mr. Family Man, it's okay. And the next day, I'm not your daddy. He's turned to my daughter and told her, tell your mommy to find your real daddy, because I ain't your daddy.
Mr. Guzman, is that true?
I never told her in front of her face. She needs to find the real father for her.
I'm not surprised he's a bad person and father. I mean, if you can't love your kids, then at least don't create a bad environment for them. That's easy for you, man. Then Miss Sanchez said that at the baby's birth, Mr. Guzman showed carelessness towards her.
He came last minute, and when he got there, he had the nerve to ask me if his little girlfriend can come into my labor room and see the baby. And at that time, I already knew they were sleeping together because it was posted on MySpace, Facebook, and all this other
Nobody
stuff.
was sleeping with anybody.
Yes,
it was a
you
friend.
were.
It was a mutual friend of ours.
I've been in the hospital. It's not a time for extra guests. It ain't no guest list.
Who would be so pathetic to do that? Well, I forgot that we're talking about this great man. Dude is a lunatic. It's sad to know how the little girl has to experience their recklessness in her life. And the judge also called out both of them for spreading toxicity around their daughter.
When you're having a baby potentially with another young woman, and then indicating that later, yes, I did sleep with that woman.
Yeah, I can see where that looks
yes,
bad, Your Honor.
it looks really bad. For everything you've gotten wrong, you honestly don't know who the father of your child is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Before Mr. Guzman could talk more, the plaintiff quickly took the chance and said that he would never provide for her child, and added that she should have brought her sugar daddies for financial help, and the defendant taunted her back. But the judge had enough of their drama.
There are harsh words spoken between both. Quite frankly, they can cut like that. Only problem is when there's two beautiful, innocent children in between the daggers, they can potentially hit them. You got a smart mouth and you telling how you should get your sugar daddy, and he's talking about how you sleep around.
Their break games might be really exciting for them, but in reality, they were damaging to hear when it has a baby stuck in the middle for its consequences. They need to realize that kids need both parents in their lives. That's why the judges called for the results to end their drama.
You are her father.
I told you, and look at everything you did.
Are you serious? I have to deal with her now?
Mr. Travis is a fool for love, but only for his little daughter. Then why is he standing here? Living his life under a blindfold, his cousin, Miss Brown, has stood up for him to open his eyes against the lies of the defendant, who pinned someone else's baby on him. Now it's time to find the truth, and a DNA test is required.
Ms. Brown, you state you have begged and pleaded with your cousin to open today's case because he's being lied to and taken advantage of by Ms. McNair. You say he's so blinded by the love that he foolishly signed her child's birth certificate, and you don't believe he's the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The plaintiff expressed his love for his daughter, but also said that some doubts were tearing him apart inside. He shared that in December 2015, he went away and Miss McNair cheated on him. So, baby mama asked them for proof, and his cousin, Miss Tierra, had a video to support her claim.
Your Honor, I sent y'all a video of how I'm seeing her.
I would like to show you my point of view from where I'm seeing she's getting picked up right there. Men are dropping her off and picking her up. From my window, you see her getting in cars, going back up to her house.
So you can see firsthand her getting in and out of cars.
Are you a stalker?
Your Honor.
That was a nice video and very solid proof. Then, the judge asked Miss McNair about this accusation, and she denied relationships with anyone. But the plaintiff added that she told Mr. Travis that the defendant had a guy friend who dropped baby mama off at her house at midnight. Then, Miss Tierra's claim sparked an argument between them.
So a friend girl instead of a friend guy she needed to have. Friend guy just means a guy
She
friend.
has too many friend guys to me.
What do you have, baby? Mind your business. Find you something
So
to
you
do.
say she has a lot of guy friends?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you see them coming in and out?
Yes.
About their relationship, the defendant said that they were committed and she didn't cheat on him, and had just friendship with her male friends while Mr. Travis was away. Surprisingly, she shrugged off that having guy friends was better for her than female ones. She continued calling his cousin a liar and argued with her.
My cousin, he went away in December. We found out in February, early March. Mariah is born in October. Might as well be a year.
Which means the
You need to
window
mind your
of
business, baby.
conception.
You need to find you something to do and talk about besides me and my relationship, honey.
You've been pregnant a year though, almost a year.
It just don't add up,
It's not.
11 months is a no chance. She's just straight lying in the face. So, it was concluded that dates proved Miss McNair was wrong, but changing her statement, she said that she knew about the pregnancy in January. Next, the judge asked Mr. Travis about the birth.
Did you sign the birth certificate?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Because he's stupid.
Just mind your business, baby.
You are very protective over your cousin because you feel like he's in love with Miss McNair and he's fallen in love with this baby,
She jealous,
but he's
man.
not paying attention to the facts.
Yes, and she's taking advantage of that.
She mad 'cause she ain't got nobody love her like he love me. She mad.
I just know who my baby daddy is.
This case looks like a war between a cousin and an ex. I'm excited to know who wins this. Then, Mr. Travis shared that he loved the baby dearly, but the dates still kept him in confusion. So the judge asked the plaintiff more about other possibilities.
I was not dating anyone or involved. I had a friend, like I said, I did, but sexually, no ma'am.
But when you say you have a friend, you're just saying you just keeping company. He's just talking. You all don't have a sexual interest in one another?
No ma'am, we do not.
That's hard for even this court to believe.
There was a lot of suspicion in this case, and it was not easy to reach any conclusion. But the truth had to be told so that Mr. Travis could find peace with his daughter. And after Miss McNair's constant denial, it was time to open the envelope.
Mr. Travis, you are not the father. I know that is not what you wanted to hear. So all this test of lying you've been doing got us here. Soon as I got my hand on that envelope, oh Lord, Jerome, get her.
Big troubles have arrived for Mr. Davis and his newly formed family. How is a small family in jeopardy of breakage? After 3 months of his daughter's birth, the defendant questioned her paternity. The reason? His medical condition created doubt, but also Miss Childress's mother accused her daughter of being promiscuous. There's a lot to unpack here, and for that, a DNA test is needed.
Mr. Davis, you stand here in court hoping and praying that you are Isabella's biological father, but say you have medical evidence which may prove otherwise. And if that's not enough, the plaintiff's very own mother says you are not the father. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The plaintiff started off crying and expressing her hopes that she could prove today to his fiancée and the whole family that Mr. Davis was the father of her baby. The poor girl was truly broken, so the judge asked the defendant his thoughts on the situation.
Just to know that I have a little girl in my life, but not knowing whether or not she's mine, it hurts. It hurts dramatically that I had so much faith in Samantha, and she broke that faith.
Then, Mr. Davis shared that he was overjoyed about finding out about the pregnancy, that he bought multiple tests, and was confused about the toys to buy and his future daddy duties. But this moment didn't last long, and rumors about his fiancée reached his ears.
Family members were telling me that she was talking to her exes again. It hurt bad, and it definitely put doubt in my mind whether or not Isabella was even mine. Shortly after splitting up, not even a week later, she was living with her ex.
I was not living with my ex, Your Honor. I was living with my mother.
And why does that upset you so?
Because everybody's saying this to him. It's not true, none of it.
She might be innocent, but the course of events doesn't support her argument. Even Miss Childress's truth was not able to convince the defendant. But he shared that there was another major reason for this denial, and that was his medical condition. And he explained his inability in detail.
Quite a few years ago, I was 22. I felt testicular pain. I thought it was cancerous, but he was able to tell me that I have a 45% chance or less to even have children.
What was happening?
The pain was for one, and it happened over a period of years.
Oh, that's a big reason for doubting your potential child. But listening to his wishes, I might hope that the baby would be a miracle for him. Mr. Davis's medical condition was very tough, so the judge brought in a professional doctor to speak on this matter.
The other testicle is completely normal, doesn't have any damage or atrophy to it. It could function normal, and then it could make up for the lack of the other testicle that's atrophied.
So hearing that, Mr. Davis, does that give you hope, or does that just confirm in your mind what you've already been told, which leads you to have this doubt?
It gives me hope that that little girl could be mine.
So there is still a chance. But the defendant shared a shocker that the plaintiff's mother had told him that another guy was the father, and the security would escort him out of the hospital if he was present for the birth. Then Ms. Childress explained the evilness of her mother's mind.
I guess hasn't really liked him as much because of our rocky relationship and the issues we have had, but I'm hoping this will help in their relationship for my mom to finally have the peace and let me have my family together, which is something I want more than anything in this world.
Why would you do that to your daughter? She loved him. If you can't accept him, that's okay, but leave the woman alone. Everything was so confusing, so the judge brought in her mother to testify on the situation. And here, we got some more moments of disbelief.
Right before she got back together with Mr. Davis, she was dating another gentleman. I mean, it was very, very quick. She and this guy broke up, and a week later, she was with Mr. Davis. And then next thing I know, she's pregnant.
Did she ever tell you the other guy was the father?
She never said it, but I suspected they were, having relations.
Pathological liar. Grandma might be right, but she could have just put her words simply. But she went hard. Her testimony added more doubt, and the judge asked Miss Childress about another possibility, and she had nothing more to say but accept the truth.
And what if he isn't? Miss Childress, do you know who is?
Yes, Your Honor, I would.
So that means there is another possibility. I know that just took the air out of your sails, Mr. Davis, and I hated to bring you up to break you down.
This case was simple, but it got more difficult to process in the end. So we're tying up hope for both parties that they could live their life with peace. But only DNA results can bring light to their lives. And it's time to get the truth.
Mr. Davis, you are the father.
Looking at this couple, you could tell they just weren't meant for each other. Mrs. Johnson dragged Mr. Johnson to court on the matter of him not being a good dad. Was Mr. Johnson having any of it? Hell no! Let's get this parenting drama on the road, shall we? Mr. and Mrs. Johnson have been at each other's throats for quite some time now. Having been married for up to 7 years, their marriage has crash-landed from a state of bad to worse. And the shocking thing here, it's all because of their 12-year-old kid. Trust me, it's crazy!
Now, Mr. Johnson, you admit that your marriage is at its breaking point, but you argue that it's because your wife undermines your authority and allows her 12-year-old son to disrespect you.
Yes, Your Honor. Mrs. Johnson went on and on about how Mr. Johnson wasn't threatening both of their kids. In her words, he had a favorite one.
He shows blatant favoritism. I'm angry. I just want my kids to feel equal. I want my oldest son to feel
When you say he shows
love.
favoritism,
You can bet Mr. Johnson wasn't just going to let her run her mouth. He comes in like a blazing inferno, telling her she's to be blamed. It's like a war zone in the courtroom.
For an example, I put my kids in baseball. He would participate in our son Ethan's, and he would never participate in Elijah's.
That's not true
That
at all.
photo right there was Elijah's birthday, and I took him to the go-karts, and he was supposed to meet us after work and didn't even show up.
As they kept trolling each other in the courtroom like it was another WWE wrestling match, mind-blowing revelations started to pop out. Believe me, these revelations will leave your jaws dropping from your mouth.
My son, we took like a safari ride, and he said, oh, well, me and Ethan will ride on this one, and you and Elijah can ride on that. And it just hurts my son's feelings because he never shows that extra step to where...
She doesn't enforce me as a father figure. I'm the father
because
that's
he's
there.
been in his life since he was 2 years
been there,
old,
exactly.
and he should take
If I've
that
been there
extra
this
step
long.
on his own.
After Mrs. Johnson was done throwing shades at her husband in the courtroom, it was Mr. Johnson's turn to spill the beans. And my God, did he have a lot to say about Mrs. Johnson and their 12-year-old boy. It was like a love series that was unending.
Elijah is disrespectful to me, to her,
Yeah, but he's
to
disrespectful.
everyone. To
It's
everyone.
The rants go on, and Mr. Johnson keeps pouring out his mind like a wounded lion. Does it end there? Of course not. Mrs. Johnson, filled with rage, jumps into the ring again and starts throwing shots at her husband. She even calls him a kid. These two can't wait to rip each other apart in the courtroom.
He disrespects everybody. He disrespects his brother. He disrespects me, his mother. He talks back. When me and him were left alone, with me, him, and my other son, and they're fighting for about 2 hours straight, nonstop. She comes home, I tell her what happened, I tell her that they're not listening, and instead of disciplining the kids, she fights with me.
He's the one acting like he's 12 too.
Mrs. Johnson's dad walks up to the stage and drops bombs on bombs, countering every single word Mr. Johnson says. It was almost like her dad was her husband's biggest oppie.
I see Elijah being left out on a lot of things. The ice cream, you ask Ethan to pick up your room. It's like, would you pick up your room? What's wrong with you? Why don't?
So why aren't we here for the way you talk to Ethan?
You know, talk to him like a human being, not like an animal that did something wrong.
Man just stood there, throwing heavy blows at Mr. Johnson. It was a tug of war, and nobody wanted to be beaten. Knowing Mr. Johnson, you could bet he was ready for his comeback. As soon as Mrs. Johnson's dad was done talking, boom! He came with his comebacks that hit like bullets shot by a firing squad.
Wait. Doesn't that go for both?
Grandfather.
Doesn't that go for both kids, though? Wouldn't that go for both children, not just Elijah? Like what Ethan, my son, he does the same thing. He babies Elijah. Oh, it'll be okay.
You shouldn't yell at Ethan
it'll
either
be
like
okay.
that.
You yell at him. Your daughter will admit it.
So now you're saying.
The moment of truth was finally here. But the air was thick with uncertainty as to whether their marriage was going to be saved or shattered for good. Time to see what the future holds for them. I hope you guys are ready.
Is it safe to say that we're going to work on this marriage?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. So we won't be needing this, right?
Right.
Fantastic. Court is adjourned.
So, Mr. Ahmad, our dear plaintiff, thought he hit the parenting jackpot, only to be crushed under a shocking revelation. But now he was here ready and charged to get this baby girl back. Buckle up, it's a wild ride! So the baby daddy was over the moon with the baby news. And by the looks of it, the poor guy had been waiting a long time for this to happen.
This is to be my first child, so I was overjoyed. She was high risk, so she couldn't work. So what I did, I tried to do as best as a man that I could do.
So the doubts and reservations surrounding the whole situation were killing him. Whether Mr. Ahmad was happy or not, Miss Day, on the other hand, had a ton of commitment issues. She was calling it a friendship, but did not feel the love in whatever these guys shared. Ouch. It's like a romantic comedy, minus the romance and the comedy.
I told him the truth from the beginning, that she might not be his. He said he wanted to be her father and he would be there for us.
Talk to me about the relationship from your point of view.
It was more of a friendship for me. I loved Mr. Ahmad, but I wasn't in love with him.
Ahmad's heart is swelling with joy over the prospect of being a dad. But Miss Day? She's whispering doubts in his ear, questioning his paternity skills. It's a heartbreak in the making, and someone's gonna need a pop culture-sized tissue for this emotional roller coaster.
We never lived together.
She was at my residence every day.
That's not true. We didn't even get along that much. I was not at his house every day. We argued so much, I never lived with him.
Hold the phone now! Because it appears the plaintiff was not a goody two-shoes either. Oh yeah! Ms. Day was spilling some real tea over his behavior with her, though the baby daddy was having none of it. Cue the dramatic music, please.
I've never known another man. She's been.
That's not true.
I went to work.
When I told him,
and I
he was
came home.
intoxicated, and he kicked me out the same night that I told him.
I disagree with that because now I feel like you're trying to make me feel some kind of way.
Now, while Mr. Ahmad was living in a she might be mine nightmare, he was still involved in the whole journey. However, Mommy did not want him to sign the birth certificate. Any guesses what he did?
I was present the entire time she was pregnant. I cut the umbilical cord. I signed the birth certificate.
I asked him not to sign my baby's birth certificate until we get a DNA.
Moving on, the judge dug deeper into hospital protocol and uncovered some very interesting information. According to that policy, the father can only sign if the mother provides the necessary information. Fasten your seatbelts. We're diving into birth certificate chaos.
I put my name and her name.
But you did not put his name?
No, I did not.
At all?
No, I did not. But I gave my baby his name because he was there. The other person was not there.
It appears mommy took a U-turn when the baby girl stopped resembling the plaintiff, though she claimed to have been truthful from the start. Her social media, on the other hand, told an entirely different story.
She looks like his kids. She looks like him. She don't look like Mr. Ahmad at all anymore.
And so, do you admit that you led Mr. Ahmad to believe that he was her biological father?
No, I told him the truth from the beginning.
Enter the second baby daddy, aka Mr. Flowers, who gave his 2 cents on the whole situation. Now he claimed to just be here for the results. However, mommy claimed to have a much deeper connection with the guy, and Mr. Ahmad did not like that testimony. The moment of truth was finally here, but the air was thick with uncertainty. Mr. Ahmad's emotions were juggling between love for the baby and the fear of a plot twist. Time to see what the future holds for them.
It has been determined by this court. The biological father is Mr. Flowers.
Mr. Byram had no idea he was signing up for a lifetime of drama when he hooked up with Miss Morris. And my God, was their relationship more chaotic than a Mexican cartel. I hope you guys are ready for this baby daddy drama because it's going to leave you speechless. Trust me.
Byram, you say the plaintiff admitted to sleeping with another man, and when the results prove you are not Jackson's father, you plan to leave for good.
Yes, I do.
His face could tell you that he had been through the thicks and turns of a disloyal relationship. He didn't want to be part of that anymore. What was worse? He wasn't even sure if he was the father of their child. Believe me when I tell you, it was a hustle with these two.
This is the second time she's done this to me. Since we've been together, this isn't just the first time that she's cheated on me. This is the second time.
Second time, it happened once.
Ms. Morris, did you cheat on him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Byram, playing the detective role, had a funny feeling in his gut that his girlfriend had been messing around. He was hell-bent on proving it, so all his senses were alert like he was Spider-Man throughout their relationship. What he uncovered would leave you speechless.
At first, through the window. And then that's when I started banging on the doors and the windows. And then I go in the house. He's hiding up in the attic of her grandma's house.
How did you find him in the attic?
I started searching the house because I had a feeling that they were together.
He found out that his girlfriend had been cheating on him with one of his close friends. Hold up! The juice from this story doesn't just end there. When Miss Morris is asked if she did cheat, she doesn't deny it. I mean, was she excited that she did?
How do you end up sleeping with his friend?
We were having trouble way before I even slept with his friend. I was always constantly getting accused. He's always constantly telling me I'm cheating. It's been happening for 4 years now.
He keeps accusing you, so you just go ahead and validate the accusation?
Well, technically we split up for a month.
Oh, trust me, Mr. Byram was beyond pissed. He found out that his girlfriend didn't just cheat on him once with his friend. Apparently, they were in a relationship. Now that's really messed up. How do you even do such a thing? It's really unbelievable.
No.
They were in a relationship after I moved out.
We were in a
They got
relationship
together.
when me and him split up for that month.
No, they were together from like July all the way until November. This isn't just a month thing. This was like a 4-month thing.
I'm saying we were in a potential relationship.
Things start to spiral out of control as more mysteries behind their damaged relationship start to show themselves. Mr. Byram has been trying to bond with his kid, but it's not just working for him. Whenever he looks at the kid, all he sees is his friend's face. Ouch! That must be upsetting.
So you do admit you're having a hard time bonding with Jackson because you don't know?
I still buy him clothes and toys and do whatever for him, but I keep my distance from him because I don't know if he's my son.
The whole drama from these two gives you a lot of adrenaline rush. Miss Morris eventually admits that what she did was completely wrong, and hopefully they could work things out and be happy again. But is that what Mr. Byram wants? I very much doubt that.
I want to be with him. I do not want to be with the other guy. He constantly tells me I do, and I don't. I'm ready to basically move on with our family. I understand the mistakes that I made. I at least admitted to it. I came out and said what I did.
Well, there's no going back now. The situation is just very messed up, but the truth is about to be unleashed. It's the moment we've all been waiting for. Will they be able to save their relationship, or is this goodbye? The answers lie in front of the judge.
Mr. Byram, you are the father.
Yes. Yes.
After finding out she had a terminal illness, Miss Holshoe seeks to uncover the true identity of who her biological father is, only to find out the most shocking surprises on her journey. It's one roller coaster to the next in this episode. Let's dive right into it.
Miss Holshoe, you claim your mother had an affair with the defendant's father, and today you're in court to prove that he is your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Now things get really heated in a matter of seconds. It felt like they all hated themselves from their previous lives. Apparently, the alleged father had passed away. But his daughters, for sure, weren't going to welcome Miss Holshoe with open arms.
Because my mother and Mr. Howard both told me that he was my father, and also family members on his side of the family have also said that I'm his daughter.
Miss Holshoe found out she had a real dad in the most awkward way. Trust me, your mind isn't going to believe what you're about to hear. Her stepdad and mom were having an argument. Boom! The bomb drops and she can't believe what she hears.
Because my stepdad was drunk and he was fighting with my mother, and he said, well, who do you think your father is? And so after that, my mother told me, and she took me and introduced me to DL, and we had a relationship from then on.
Now the sisters, for sure, weren't going easy on Miss Holshoe. They felt she was an imposter who was trying to spoil their family's name. They stood their ground and denied every single thing Miss Holshoe said in the courtroom. Trust me, it was quite a show.
They were sitting in a booth with my dad across from her and her mother. I was standing at the end, and he said, I just brought you guys here to let you know that she's your sister. And that was the one and only time that my dad ever mentioned her till the day he died.
He had never
Ever.
mentioned it to any of the rest of us.
Some really interesting stories started to fly around the courtroom. Everyone was trying to air out their minds and beliefs. In the process, some nasty revelations jumped out. Trust me, they weren't nice, and some of it was just super fishy. But Miss Holshoe stood her ground.
Can I also say, when I was in California living with my father, we had packed up our things and moved out because my father had gone to at the bar where her mother was working and caught her cheating on him. That gave me
No topic.
The thought that obviously her mother probably has no idea who any of her children belong to.
The courtroom was pretty heated up at this point, with both parties throwing shades at each other. Another of their sisters walks into the courtroom. Surprisingly, she's on Miss Holshoe's side. She believes that there is a chance that Miss Holshoe is her sister. Now that's interesting, wouldn't you say?
I believe that she is.
You do. Tell the
I
court
do.
why.
Because my father told me that she was.
She just needs a family, Your Honor, because her whole family,
Yes,
she's
yes.
shut out.
Now she had quite a lot to say. Not only did she back up Miss Holshoe's claim of being their sister, she also said their father was no saint. He was also messing around with another woman. Wow!
He is our hero to this day. And I'm not going to bash him, but yes, he loved women. And that's just the way it was. Some men hunt, some men don't.
The tension was palpable. But no worries, because the moment of truth was here. Time to spill the beans on whether she was really his daughter or it was all a joke. All eyes were on the judge as she got ready to give the final verdict. Cue the mic drop.
In the case of Holshoe versus Howard, it has been determined by this court that the probability of half-siblingship is 98.1%.
Now I can promise you that this particular case will leave you imagining the wildest things and asking yourself, how can this even be possible? Well, I hope you're ready, guys, because you are definitely about to be wowed. It all started in an outrageous manner, with Mr. Morris claiming to have only fathered one child out of the pair of twins that were born by his girlfriend, Miss Thorpe. Does that even make any sense? How do you father one child out of a pair of twins? Damn!
Originally, I was believed that both of them was mine. Over time, made me feel like neither were mine. And then after that, different things happened that made me believe just London was.
Now their relationship didn't particularly start off as the typical Sleeping Beauty and Princess Charming kind of story. There were loopholes, trust me, and Miss Thorpe didn't waste any time in stating them without hesitation.
I told Antoine that I wanted to be in a relationship with him, and he turned me down because he was still in love with the mother of his other child. So when that time happened, I got upset and I started messing with another guy.
Now Miss Thorpe finds out she's pregnant, and of course she tells Mr. Morris. Is he happy about it? Well, he sure is, and he seems like the happiest man in the world. But all good things don't last now, do they? Let's find out.
I was very, very happy. Like, I went all out. I bought two of everything. It cost a lot. It was bassinets here, strollers there, car seats, doing her pregnancy, try to make her as comfortable as possible. She hungry every day. I gotta feed her.
In no time, the sweet baby daddy turned into the doubtful baby daddy. He starts asking himself questions like, are they really mine? Should I get a DNA test done? What if she lied to me from the beginning? All shades of doubt start to settle in Mr. Morris's head.
Like I said, just...
All right, so you send the results in, and of course, how do they come back?
0% probability.
But you do understand that you didn't even use the swabs right.
I would just hope, I don't know.
Now finding out the twins aren't his, he texts his baby mama being all angry and furious. When he doesn't get a reply from her, what does he do? He goes to social media and posts the news everywhere, saying he isn't the kid and his baby mama lied to him. Trust me, he's one crazy person.
He actually texted me and told me that the DNA test came back and that the twins were not his. At the time, I didn't respond automatically because, like I said, I was at work. So he ended up getting very upset and ended up posting it all over social media and telling everybody.
The bombshells continue to drop and things start to blow out of proportion. Another surprise comes in. Boom! Mr. Morris wasn't the regular old Mr. Good Guy he was claiming to be. He got another woman pregnant. Oops, now that's a lot from him. Oh, trust me, Judge Lauren was about to lose her cool.
Oh, you had two women pregnant at the same time?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you on team too much all the way around.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Morris and Miss Thorpe. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Morris, you are not the father.